Previously on The Safe House with Rick Michaels.
That's probably almost 10 years ago now. Turning down the WWE contract, was it his biggest mistake? The following podcast may contain adult language, spoilers, and truth. A whole lot of truth. Enjoy. That's probably almost 10 years ago now. Turning down the WWE contract, was it his biggest mistake?
No, I don't know.
It's a ballsy thing to do. He's one of the few that I know that's ever done it.
I think that when Alan, I remember talking to Alan about it, and Alan, one, it was a money issue. Because the original money they offered him was a slap in the face. It wasn't the fact that it was a developmental deal, and Alan, because Alan's, always thought, I can learn more, I can learn more, I can learn more. Mm-hmm. And so there's never been an ego issue over that. It was definitely a money issue. And I think that it's kind of with people asking him about it in interviews and stuff like that, and sites and magazines catching wind of it, they kind of made it a bigger deal than it really was. Mm-hmm. Because Alan never did it out of ego. Alan literally did it out of a financial
Yeah, from what I understand, it was either she was going through or she had just graduated college, his wife, and what they were offering, he would not be able to
because I think he was going to
support his family.
He was going to have to uproot the family, or uproot the new wife, and
you absolutely have to respect that.
Yeah, and I, like I said, I think now that, which I think I read an interview or something where somebody asked him on a radio show, would you go to WWE now? And he says no. Which I'm not sure, where that, what that is, but I'm sure if, here we're going to offer you, $2 million a year.
Yeah.
Here you go.
So why do you think he attributes more to it seems like he says he's like self-taught or on the job training to saying that you trained him? You think
I'm not real sure where all that came from. There towards the very end, he and I had some conflicts, and this was kind of before the TNA stuff, mm-hmm. Which we'd eventually kissed and made up, or, mm-hmm. or whatever you say, because I used to make his stuff and mm-hmm. and all of that. I don't know if it's my sexuality preference. Sure. I don't know if it was the thing to do to jump on the bandwagon of let's hate Rick Michaels, okay. Or and like I said, I'm not real sure where it all came from. I saw him about a year and a half ago. They did a house show in Gainesville, and I wanted to go so I could see Jeff, and I saw Alan there, and we were cordially, he was cordial, and mm-hmm. We spoke and shook hands and hugged, and how did you enjoy the show? And I was like, yeah, it was good, and it was good to see you kind of deal, and that was it.
Yeah.
But like I said, even before everything that I kind of deal with now, even before that, it's always been the I was self-taught, or I didn't really get that much good training.
It just seems like and obviously I wasn't there, but it just seems like if what you're saying is true, that you're the guy that went to bat for this kid who had no money, you saw something in him and you gave him the fundamentals without charging him or without raping him with money like most people could. And
I saw bucket loads of potential.
Sure.
And my thing is the only issue I had with Alan, as far as, because I was so obsessed with wrestling, was that he didn't really have, his big thing was he started really watching wrestling during the NWO time and all of that. So
newborn fan.
Yeah, and so a lot of times I would you need to go back and God,
right.
you need to know Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes and even before even guys before that. But I mean, I just saw a drive and determination in him that, you know, I mean, honestly, working with him made me want to step up my game a little bit, you know, and.
But I can see how, like, if you're not getting the respect or the gratitude that you feel you deserve, I can see how that can make you bitter, but you handle it very well because, like, Thomas was very angry at me for a while and I didn't give him kind of the credit he deserved. And now, while Thomas never got in the ring and trained me, he gave me the tool and he gave me the relationships with people to learn what I learned.
Well, see, even to this day, I mean, I still, you know, I still learn things about the business, and a lot of it is back stuff I learned from the business, behind the scenes stuff, mental stuff, and the whole issue with Alan and that has made me realize, you know, I don't need the credit. Mm-hmm. It's like a Christmas present.
Yeah.
It's about giving, not receiving.
Sure, yeah.
And I love to give Christmas presents, which I do love to get them, but that's not the important part. So it really made me wake up, and even with the issues that I had with Bill, and I had even done some horrible shoot interviews on Bill, which was totally unprofessional and all that. But the thing is I wanted to give him credit.
Yeah.
You know, I felt it necessary that, you know, did he teach me how to sew? No. Did he teach me how to work? No. But did he give me these opportunities and open these doors? Absolutely. And that's the thing with the guy that trained me. I remember him teaching me how to lock up, and my first match, I did a 30-minute match, and I did a headlock on the right side. I was working the right side. Yeah, I mean, and I didn't fucking know what I was doing.
Yeah.
I really had no business, you know, but just perseverance and just want to keep going and drive. But I give him credit, because had it not been for Brian, I wouldn't be sitting here today to have some little bit of stuff to talk about, you know. And so it's not so much about getting the credit as it is giving, and you know, it's not going to put one more dime in my pocket,
right?
You know, of the fact that I trained Alan.
So let's talk about the doors and the opportunities that did open. Clearly, when you started off in this business, you wanted to work for WWE or one of the big companies as a wrestler. Now, you got enhancements, I'm sure. You got to work dark matches, and you worked for TNA, which we know. But you ended up getting hired by the WWE, but it wasn't in what I guess would be called the dream job for a wrestler, right?
Well, you know what? Kind of, I'd say wrong there, because for the mere fact that I was actually working for that company and had the potential to get a contract with them in any shape, form, or fashion, just the fact that I could take a contract, because I remember Matt telling me that when he got his contract, he took it to his lawyer to overlook and you know, make changes and all this. And I was just like, I don't give a shit that, you know, I could clean the toilets for them.
Right,
They're giving me a contract that I can take to a lawyer and have him look, which I did have to have, you know, some things changed in it, you know, about reimbursements and you know, just small little detail stuff. But I was just like, holy God. And I still, you know, I had it framed, absolutely. You know. But
my first stub from the Fed framed.
I've got every solitary one of them.
So you start making gear then,
right?
As you're working.
Well, I started making gear with my mom, especially when I was doing the Rick Michaels character. I couldn't stand going to a show and wearing the same gear. And just, you know, Sean changed his gear every time. I had to change my gear every time. So my mom would make my stuff. Then when we started, you know, I'll shorten this one. Then when we started making, doing Wildside, the first person, guys were wanting my mom to make gear, and so she would make guys, you know, their gear, and you know, her name was Alma, and I think I came up with the name Alma R's Gear or some shit like that. But anyway, she her health had really started going downhill, and so she taught me how to do it, and I would help her, and then it just became my thing. I just started doing it. You know, I didn't have a fucking clue what I was doing. Learned to sew 100-year-old sewing machine.
Right.
And I just, one thing led to another, and next thing you know, I'm doing guys gear here, doing guys gear here, and I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. When TNA started, the opportunity, Bill again got me the opportunity to work for them doing their outfits.
Mm-hmm.
So I went up to Nashville, met with Jeff Jarrett at their offices, and the first thing I ever did for them was the Flying Elvises.
Okay, yeah.
I did, made all those things, and my mom even helped me, with those things. But that was the first thing, and then the, what were they, the Rainbows? Rainbow Express, or it was Lenny and, he did a gay gimmick in WCW.
Lenny and Lodi?
No, not Lenny and Lodi.
Lenny
Lenny and, anyway, I think they were the Rainbow Express
Okay.
or some shit like that. Anyway, I made those, and I remember working on those at the first pay-per-view. I mean, Bert set me up in this big, huge room, and I had all my sewing machines, because I had like 2 sewing machines at this time. I had all my sewing machines, a serger, tons of fabric,
Yeah.
and just, it was just god awful. A whole room as big as this one, just full of shit.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there stressing out, going, but anyway, so I worked for them, and Bill always made fun of me, because he said, I'm trying to, get you a spot to work, and he goes, what's really going to be funny is when you're sitting there sewing in your gear, calling a match.
Right, yeah.
And I was like, that's not going to ever happen. Sure enough, first match for TNA was, we'd already moved to the fairgrounds at this point. It was me and Chris Michaels against Sonny Siaki and one of the Harris twins.
Okay.
Ron or Don, I don't remember which one. I'm sitting there in my tights and working on James Storm's outfit,
Mm-hmm.
and we're sitting there calling spots as I'm sewing. So, Bill was right about that. But anyway, so I went to work doing their stuff, and still had no fucking clue what I was doing. Had
As
absolutely.
far as making the gear.
Yeah, I mean, I knew. Well, I say I didn't have a clue, but knowing now what I learned from the girls at WWE, I didn't have a fucking clue. But still, still, some of the stuff that I made back then still holds up to this day. It's nuts, But anyway, so once again, another opportunity that Bill opened up. So I'm doing gear for TNA, and the great thing about that was not so much being able to make the gear. It was getting the opportunity to meet the Dusty Rhodes and the Road Warriors and all these guys at TNA was bringing. Oh my God. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and, I was just like, oh my God, yeah, okay, I'm working for TNA, who cares? I get to meet these guys.
Absolutely, yeah.
And, later on, during my WWE thing, a lot of people would ask me, what's John Cena like, or what's Batista? And I'm like, who gives a shit? I just met Nikolai Volkov.
Yeah, right.
And Kamala. And,
so how do you get from TNA to the WWE?
I had done a dark match. No, an enhancement match. No, it's the same thing. Security spot. We were in Atlanta. Did a security spot.
For the Fed.
For the Fed. And it was the Goldberg Rock spot.
Okay.
That they were setting up for Backlash. And I was talking to the girls, Julie and Terry.
Like one of the best in the world, Julie.
Julie is,
Shannon Moore's wife.
Yeah, I know Julie's making a shit ton of money in WWE. She could be a gazillionaire if she worked in Hollywood.
Yeah, she absolutely could.
She's freaking amazing. I mean, that's where all the credit goes for what I learned about what I know now, is from those two girls. How they hired me, I guess because they liked me.
Right.
And liked my ambition or drive to keep plugging and hey, I really want this job. Because they had interviewed other people, and I'm sure those people were a hell of a lot better than I was.
Right.
But I didn't even know how to make a pattern.
Okay.
I mean, I was guessing on how to make a pattern. They showed me how to make patterns. They showed me the supplies to use, a thing called Wonder Under. If anybody out there sews, you know what Wonder Under is. I was using heat bond, which was killing my machine.
Yeah.
But, you know, I didn't know, you know. So she said, hey, would you be interested in wrestling or working here? And I was like,
This is during your enhancement spot.
right.
So she knew at the time you were making gear?
Yeah, because I talked to her about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had told her.
When you had came up there for the enhancement you were talking about.
Right,
Gotcha.
and she said, well, would you be interested in working here? And I was like, yeah, well,
Right.
of course I would. And that was maybe a year before it ever actually happened. It was around WrestleMania, let's see, it was way before WrestleMania 21.
Okay.
Because I was really, it was about,
Rock and Hogan, wasn't it?
WrestleMania 21 was,
Or was that 22?
20, I'm sorry, it was WrestleMania 20 with
Okay.
Benoit and Hunter and
Uh-huh.
Shawn. It was before 20, and I was just, I was like, oh my God, it was about a year, and I was like, oh my God, you know, I year time frame, surely God, they'll hire me and I get to go to WrestleMania.
Right.
Anyway, Julie wanted me to send samples and this gimmick in, and I did all that, you know, and I would check in with her occasionally. Never heard nothing. Was at TNA one day, and John Laurinaitis called. He was like, I was like, hello? And it was an unavailable number. The only unavailable number ever was my ex-wife from work.
Mhm.
So I would answer it.
Mhm.
And he's like, yeah, Rick, this is John Laurinaitis from WWE. I understand you're interested in working for us. It's like, yeah. But, you know, I remember the conversation I was like, yeah, it's my dream and my life and blah, blah, blah. You know, that same cliche
Like,
bullshit.
yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, he's like, look, this is what I want to talk about. You know, I like your work. I'll see what I can do, and just let you know I got your stuff. I'll stay in contact. So I think what that was a way of saying you don't have to call us, we'll call you.
Yeah.
Which did not work. I was calling him.
Sure.
But anyway, maybe 6 months passed. Never heard anything, but I was absolutely just completely fed up with TNA. Money, I was supposed to be getting, you know, some money, and it was just, you know, Bill had to help me get the money that I was owed, and
Okay.
it was just, you know, like I had done a whole bunch of Shark Boy masks when they were selling those, and Bill had to, like, practically hold a knife to him saying pay him.
Oh, so you made all the Shark Boy masks
All
that
those
they sold?
All those
You made those
fucking-
by hand?
Every damn one of them.
Wow.
Sal Renaro helped me with them, and Adam Roberts.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Roberts came to my shop. I had a shop at the time. He came, and who now owns Main Event Gear.
He also worked for the Fed.
Yeah, he worked for the Fed too. We were both, well, the crazy thing is maybe like within a month span, we were both there exactly a year and a half. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, he helped me make them, but I remember just cranking those things out. I still have the patterns. I saw them the other day. And I remember what a pain in the ass they were at the
Right.
time. At the time.
Yeah.
You know, now I could probably knock them out with, you know, no problem. Knowing little tricks and stuff that I've learned over the years. But, yeah, I was just fed up. You
Sure.
know, and the drive back, the ride back and forth, going every week and getting screwed on money, and, you know, thank God Bill, you know, went to bat and would get the money finally that was owed to me. But I remember telling Jeff, I was like, you know, and going back a little bit, I kept calling WWE, you know, and, you know, but I was hoping something would happen, but I was so fed up with TNA. So I told Jeff, I was like, this is going to be my last week. God, do I appreciate the opportunity. And, you know, and he was like, you know, well, why are you leaving? And so I told him, and he was like, well, man, I hate to see you go. And, you know, I'd still make occasional stuff for like Alan and the James Storm and Chris Harris. So I quit, you know, and was still doing a lot of indie stuff. Maybe 3 weeks later, I was sitting there sewing and phone rings. Hello, and it was what was the guy's name? Bob Clark,
Okay.
or was it the Bob Clark? Was his name Bob Clark?
I'm not an inside.
Yeah, you know what? Dick Clark is the okay. Yeah, I was making sure I wasn't talking about Dick Clark.
Bob Hope.
Yeah, it was Bob Clark. He called and he said, yes, Rick, this is Bob Clark, World Wrestling Entertainment. I was wondering if you would be available to come to Chicago next week and try out with us. I was like, well, let me check my schedule. Schedule's checked and clear.
Right.
Yes.
Now, are you thinking this time tryout match or?
No, I knew it was
You
from
knew it
solo,
was for
because
the-
I'd already had my back injury and,
Okay.
and was like 300 pounds and you know, and not even, I'd done one little match, and it was a gimmick match with Jeff G. Bailey at Wildside. Dip change.
Sure.
You can edit that out, right?
I can edit anything I need.
Alright, good.
You hear me? Check my phone. A little text.
What are we doing on time here? Cause okay.
It's 3 o'clock.
2. Oh, goodness.
We'll get you out in a little bit. I
Yeah.
got just a couple more things I want to touch on, and then we'll be good.
Thank you so much, bro. Still haven't got those yet. I know you can't control whatever it is. Alright, that's gonna really help the kid. Yeah, edit that part. Alright.
Alright.
So, anyway, Bob Clark called Chicago the next week. Went up there and, the first thing, now let me go back a little bit. While I was in TNA, I had done some stuff for Paul London. So Paul London had left and gone to WWE.
Yep.
He was my connection. He ordered some stuff, which led to Stevie Richards. Stevie Richards, he had some tights. He was doing Stevie Night or Sunday Night Heat practically every week.
Yeah.
He had Stevie Night
Heat.
Yeah, he had Stevie Night Heat. And he had Stevie Night Heat tights.
Okay.
I made those.
Yeah.
And which led to Val Venus. You know, I'd already been doing some things for a couple of the talent of WWE. Let's see, so where were we?
Chicago.
Yeah, so, which actually had, maybe it was 2 weeks, because somehow I had told Paul about it, and Paul hooked me up with Christian. And so Christian ordered some tights, and I took them with me to Chicago.
Okay.
And I'd had Paul some new stuff, and so here's my first day on the job, and I'm already handing out outfits to Christian and Paul London and Val
Such a
Venus.
go-getter.
Yeah, and maybe I remember the first conversation after introducing myself I had with Terry. I was sitting there watching her, and she goes, "What are you doing?" And I go, "I'm just watching." She goes, "Well, let me give you something to do." And so I went and, because I said I've already sewed all my outfits that I brought, and I'm just going to watch you and learn.
Yeah.
And she was working on Rosie's superhero thing.
Superhero, yeah.
Took her forever to make that damn thing. Anyway, I forgot what it was they had me sewing, but anyway, so I did Chicago. I don't remember where the next town was because it was a 3-week trial. I did the next week, and I don't remember where we were at. They were in Canada the next week, and I was off that week, and then they came to Arizona,
Okay.
and that was the 3rd week. And by this time, I'd already picked up, like, just in those 2 weeks, I'd already picked up like 10 guys
Yeah.
doing stuff for. And I remember, I was working on Rico, some stuff. And Johnny Ace came and Well, the first thing he told me in Chicago, he said persistence pays off. You know, and so anybody that, let me say this, anybody out there that's, if it's your dream to work for something, go.
Do it.
Don't take no, don't take you too big, you're too small, just do it. If you want to do it, put 100% effort into it. Anyway, so we're in Arizona, and Johnny Ace says, I need to talk to you. I thought, oh shit, this is...
At this point, you're kind of worried.
Yeah, because, you know, I'm not real sure.
The dream was over.
Yeah, I'm not real sure, you know, what my relationship is with Julie and Terry. I knew that they pretty much they were the yay or nay to who got hired. You know, they were staples. They were the mainstay. So I went to Johnny's office and he says, well, 3-week time is up. He goes, I talked to Julie and Terry, and I'm going to offer you a job. And I remember going to the bathroom and squalling like a baby.
Yeah, it's got to be a great
Yeah, I mean, it was just, I was like, oh, and I went and just, I was bawling like a baby. I hugged Julie and I hugged Terry and I told them, thank you, thank you, thank you. And it was on from there, you know. I mean, it was just, there was not a day, even up until the last show that I did for them, there wasn't a day that I didn't walk into that arena. And I never took it for granted. I walked in there and I looked around the trucks and I'd see those big trucks and I was just like, I'm here.
It is an amazing production.
Yeah, and getting, you know, just getting to travel and getting the, you know, I got to go to Japan and, you know, Rob Conway, Snitsky, Rob Conway, and the other La Resistance guy. Not Sly, but the other one. Rene Dupree.
Yeah, Rene Dupree.
Rene Dupree. They took me to Rivera Steakhouse.
Gonna wake him up. Nah, you're good. Taking your blanket, bub. There it is.
Yeah. I used to watch Dick Murdoch and Dusty Rhodes, and all those guys, Road Warriors, wear those. Now I've got mine.
So how long did you work for the Fed?
I worked for them for a year and a half, and I remember I had some legal issues come up.
Whose gear was the most intricate that you had? Who gave you the, you know, the test of your skills?
Probably, I would say, as far as detail on the outfit was probably Benoit, because Benoit, he wanted something new every week. He would order three outfits at a time, wear them, and then literally want 3 more. And I constantly wanted to change. He wasn't like Christian, where Christian wanted to. Christian's was a pain in the ass to make, with all those little details of going around his seat.
Yeah.
But then, I would say it had to. It was a battle between Benoit and Christian, because Christian started getting these elaborate costume or entrance gear. And I'll never forget the first big thing I did was his WrestleMania 21 gear, and it was like leather and gold and had crystals all over it, and you know that was cool. And then the first big robe I ever made was Rene Dupree, and I made him like 4 robes. But the longer I was there, the more easier it was. And the thing about, you know, Adam or Robert Adams, he worked there for a year and a half, and he, like I said, and he had issues with the girls. Like, it was pretty much he couldn't ask any questions, or he was.
Think he was too prideful?
No, I think he was too nervous that they would think he didn't know what he was doing. But Robert is, I mean, Robert calls himself main event gear, and I like to refer to myself as the semi-main event gear, because he's absolutely amazing at the stuff that. I believe it was a jealousy issue. I believe the girls might have thought that he was considered in competition. Okay. That's the only reason I can I'm not saying that's the case. That's just, you know, me on the outside looking in. Because he's absolutely amazing.
As to why he was let go.
Speculating. Just you know, he and I have had several conversations on that. He's absolutely amazing.
Do you know what the reason was that they gave him?
The reason was bullshit reason. It was that too many people were complaining, which that's what leads me to believe that there was some backdoor politics stuff.
But they complained to him.
Because, well, the thing is when Adam left, he had 40-something guys, and he took 40-something guys with him.
Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, he asked every one of them, which, you know, the boys, no boys are, you know, really going to tell you point blank to your face that they bullshit behind your back, but do you have an issue with my stuff? No. Now, he's had some sizing issues.
Okay.
You know, which was probably, and I don't think it is now, but was probably his weak point.
Okay.
Was sizing issues with some of the guys, and I remember the first MVP singlet, he drove from Alabama to my house in Georgia for me to help him with the thing, which I was more than glad to. You know, when it first happened, I was like, you know, oh shit, you know, you what guys I'm still doing, you're gonna take. You know, but that lasted about a week, and you know, I got over that just like I have everything else. But you know, I want to know how it was, and you know, if I could give him any advice. And he called me regularly, but he always had issues dealing with Julian Terry, and it was, I can only give him my points of how I dealt with him, and I think with me it was the absolute polar opposite of him, because he went in, because I'd already told him what I had learned.
Right.
So he went in already doing fabulous stuff. I went in and it was pretty much on the job training.
Yeah.
Compared to what I already knew. I knew the basics. But I guess because I really looked up to Julie and Terry as big sisters or older sisters, and absolutely, you know, was so thankful for what they were teaching me. They never looked at it as, you know, oh, we got this guy here and he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, why did we hire him?
Now, the point that you're working with the Fed, you're still closeted, right?
Oh yeah, I'll never forget one funny story. I'll never forget. It was during my 3-week trial. It was the second show that I don't remember where we were going from, but you know, I was not used to this traveling and staying up till, you know, having to get up super early, go to the. I mean, you've been there.
Yeah,
just going to the building,
so
even when you're not, it'll tire you out.
Absolutely.
I mean, absolutely
So I told,
tire you out.
When we did the last shot, a guy came with us. I don't want to mention his name because I don't like him, but a guy came with us and he was like, he's like, I'm so nervous. I said, I got to tell you this, man. I said, as nervous as you are, the entire experience as a whole is mentally and physically exhausting. You're there your entire day until the show ends, and you have to be on your best behavior, watch what you say.
Oh, yeah. And see, I think one of the things that that kept me around there was I was absolutely so respectful to, you know, Johnny and I got along great. You know, a lot of people didn't like Johnny. Johnny and I got along great because Johnny knew what, I mean, I remember we were in Japan and he's telling me this long history of his stuff in Japan, which the only thing I ever followed of Johnny was his Dynamic Dude stuff, and even before that when he was in Florida and stuff like that. But just because, you know, do I want to sit here and talk to John Cena, or do I want to talk to Johnny Ace, who's the brother of a legend? Right. He's a legend himself in Japan, and he's old school. I'm going to sit and talk to this old school guy.
Absolutely.
You know, Ricky Steamboat. Anytime there was somebody of old school nature, you know, Johnny would, you know, introduce me to him personally, and I was just, it was amazing, you know, getting to see these guys that I'd grown up watching, and now I get to work right along with them. So
you say you'll never forget during your 3-week course. Where are you going with that?
Oh yeah, closeted. We're driving from Raw to SmackDown, and I fell asleep in the back seat because I was riding with Julian Terry. I didn't have my own car at this point because I was still on trial, probation, or whatever they call it, trial period. Anyway, I fell asleep, and I remember I remember waking up and going, "Do you believe in life after love?" And falling back asleep.
Right.
So they knew, and they ribbed me all day at SmackDown. They, they were like, "Oh, you're gay, you're gay, you're gay." And I'm like, "No, no, I'm not. No, I'm not." One time I would hold up the tights after I got done with them. If I'd see a string, both my hands are full, so I'd eat the string. I remember I was doing that one building, and Nick Patrick walked by and he goes, "You're licking a crotch." I knew it. So everybody up there, a lot of it was because one, I was a male in what they perceived as a female's world.
Absolutely, yeah.
But two, I guess they could, their gaydar was on. But I was still, way in the closet. But then, of course, as Jerry Palmer would say, and Ricky Morton tells me all the time, I didn't just come out of the closet, I kicked the son of a bitch open. Bam!
So you lose your job with the Fed.
Yeah, I had my legal issues come up, and I had left the court and called my wife, and I said, "Hey, everything's fine, probation, I'm good to go. Nothing's bad." Hung up the phone. 5 minutes later, Johnny Ace called. "Hey, what were you in court for?" I told him, and he goes, "Bro," he goes, "Man," he goes, "this is one of the hardest ones I've had to do." He goes, "But we're gonna have to let you go."
Right.
World had come to an end.
Sure.
Because the dream job was gone, and at the time, had I known what I was really dealing with, I would have fought it. But my thing was I didn't want to drag anybody into court, and I didn't want it to get out that I was a homosexual. That was my biggest fear.
You're still protecting that.
Yeah, that was my biggest fear. So and my lawyer was a drunk, and I'm telling him, let's not fight this. Let's, we'll do the probation, and I don't have to worry about nothing, and I can still do my job. And he's telling me all this. He's like, "You'll still be able to go do your job and travel and live your life normally." I was like, "Okay, let's do that." 'Cause
Right.
I don't want to be labeled a homosexual.
Right.
For some reason, that was that was the absolute biggest fear. Nothing else, because I didn't know anything else was really going to be perceived as bad.
Right.
But then, boy, was I wrong. And but like I said, I remember he called, and that was it. September the 29th, which was one day away from what would have been my wedding anniversary.
Okay.
And at this time, my wife and I, or ex-wife at the time, because we'd already gotten divorced, because we had a child, we have a daughter together, and so we were on speaking terms, and maybe there was some way we would actually maybe work this thing out, knowing in the back of my mind, hey, you know what? Even in my mind, I was like, I'm bisexual. I'm bisexual.
Had you had at this time in your closet, and you're kind of scared to be labeled as one? Had you had interactions with males?
The crazy thing is,
was it just thoughts and
no? The crazy thing is the first time that I ever, how can I politically say this correctly, gratified myself, was to a homosexual magazine.
Okay.
The first sexual interaction that I ever had was with another male.
Okay.
And then, of course, the second one was with, which I always claimed is where I lost my virginity, was to my girlfriend. So I was attracted to both.
All right.
And I think that once everything, finally came out, and a lot of guys, not anything really to do with the legal situation. It was the fact that, oh, Rick Michaels is gay. Oh, Rick Michaels is gay. You fucking lied to us all these years. Fuck
right,
you. We don't want this faggot in,
in the locker room.
Yeah, and it was fucking nuts. And I really thought my world was just completely over, and I wanted nothing to do with the business.
So if even you were so worried about being labeled as a homosexual, what was that breaking point that made you just come out and say, "Look, this is who I am"?
The breaking point was when I finally came to realization I have nothing else to lose. I am who I am. I'm gay, you know, and it's just a realization I have where there's nothing else that can possibly go bad for me, or I cannot be labeled anything else that could be so bad. I'm gay. So
Right.
here's me. I'm gay. You know, and there was a few. You know, God bless him, Deion Johnson. He never you know, the only thing he ever said was, "Ray, I gotta ask you a question." Is that a good Deion impression?
Yeah.
I don't mind that you're gay, but did you ever feel anything when we actually kissed as Twisted Sisters? And at that time I was like, no, Derek, because, you know, I'm not
into black men.
I'm not into black men. Now, not so much. Chocolate does not break me out. So, you know, I'm sure tonight I'll hear, so, did it mean anything? No, you're way too fat, Derek.
Yeah.
I won't say fat, but, you know, but I love Derek. He never turned his back on me. Sal never turned his back. There were some guys that didn't turn their back on me.
Yeah, I was going to ask, when you first came out, were you met with a lot of resistance?
I was.
A lot of wrestlers are very homophobic, and I don't know if it's in the sense because they put so much trust in guys because you're back in a locker room and you're changing, and then you're wrestling in the ring with them. So a lot of the guys start to think, oh, you faggot, you're doing this just so you could get off on touching me.
Right, you know, and the thing was one issue I always had was if somebody knew I was gay and they accepted it, in my mind I was like, oh, yeah, maybe you're gay too.
Right.
You know, which was totally wrong. Now, you know, all these years later, what's it been, 2005, and we're 6, 7 years later.
I'll agree. I got bad at math.
You know, Simon, Sermon, Mark Henry, and I, we have this conversation all the time. 10 years ago, we would never been able to be as open and be ourselves as we are now. You know, which I think guys, you know, going back again, the resistance. A lot of people didn't know the truth. They just knew what they heard, and just all the bashing and all Rick Michaels is a child molester, and Rick Michaels is a faggot, and just to the point where I remember listening to the Johnny Cash song "Hurt," and sitting in my car that week, I had heard. I'd watched one of those reality shows where a guy had put radiator fluid in his wife's Gatorade, and he killed her. And he got away with it till they started doing more
forensics.
Yeah, and stuff like that. So they eventually, found it and all that. But I thought, that's it. That's, and before that, Chris Benoit, he was the first one that I'd had interaction with from the Fed. I mean, I had talked to Julian, Terry, and all of that. But Chris Benoit, I was explaining what was going on with him, and Chris Benoit goes, don't explain anything, because I'm going to tell you, Rick, I live in a glass house. I can't throw stones.
Right.
So, and at first I didn't know what that meant, and then, I started thinking about it. But still, even after that, it made me feel a little bit better. But then I would read something on the internet, or I'd hear something that somebody said, and it would just fucking drive me nuts.
So before you came out and before this information was put out there, you hadn't come out to anyone that was even close to you?
No, and but see, the thing was when everything came out, the legal situation, like I got I didn't even get we wish you the best in future endeavors. They flashed it on the damn website of WWE.com. So within 10 minutes of me getting out of court, whew,
Wow.
and it was only on
They're
there.
just covering their own tracks.
Yeah, well, yeah, they were, and I realized that, but I'd called Johnny back, and I said, what the fuck is this shit? You're trying to absolutely just kill me and bury me. He's like, oh, Rick, I didn't know they were going to do that, and I'll take it. So they took it down, and, you know, which the damage has been done. If it's on that site for more than 5 minutes, that's it. So it took years and years of people getting the truth. It took years of, you know, me having to expose certain people because it wasn't because I wanted to expose anybody, but it was because I was trying to cover my own ass. I would have just lived life normally, but, you know, people want to sleep with me, but then they want to go to a show and, oh, that faggot, and oh, they don't want him. Oh, but you're going to call me at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning and leave voicemails on my answer machine that I still have to this day. Want me to come over and sleep with you. So, you know, it just, everything going on was just a complete and total mental fuck to me. And I just had enough. So I remember sitting in the car, going back to that, and drinking, putting radiator fluid in a Pepsi.
Yeah.
And I took like 38 Tylenol PMs and literally tried to kill myself.
Yeah.
And Nigel Sherrod had called me, and for some dumb reason I answered the phone.
As you're all...
As I'm completely, I don't even remember the base of the conversation.
Right.
I remember uncoherently talking to him. But I was completely lit, and I told him, I said, you know, I'm going to go to sleep. I told him the amount. I remember telling him I took the amount of sleeping pills. I ain't telling about the other shit.
Right.
I said, but I'm just going to go to sleep. I'm tired. And hung up on him. And he tried to call me back. And he actually got on the internet and looked up the ex-wife's phone number. Called her. So she called my sister. And I had texted Adam Roberts, and he was up at the Wildside Arena. And he came by and called Jerry Palmer, and Jerry came over, and it was, you know, and my sister, who was, I guess, in denial over what was going on, I told her, I said, I'm just tired, I just took a couple sleeping pills, I'm fine. Jerry knew better, you know, so they made me go to the hospital, they, you know,
stomach pump.
Yeah, and made me drink this charcoal shit, which was god-awful. But I literally wanted to just end it all.
Right. So let me get this straight. All rumors aside, from what I hear, kind of the start of all your legal problems was from something your ex-wife did. Is this correct?
Yeah, she had gone and when she had seen a conversation I had with a guy on the internet, and it was another homosexual. And I told her, I said, oh, it's not real, I'm just fucking with somebody, and da-da-da-da-da. So she was like, okay. Then at WrestleMania 21, she found some porn that I had in my bag. And I told her, I said, I'm just taking that back to the building, the guys were ribbing me, they put it in my bag.
Sure.
You know, just covering all kinds of tracks. And then I had this tape that had a said person on it shaving, and had me in sexual intercourse with with another male that wasn't related to wrestling, but anyway, and he was the same age as I was. But she knew right then. She goes, "You're gay," and I was like, "No, I'm sorry, because my brother."
This is your ex at the time.
Yeah, and so, you know, she said, "Well, do you know why your brother really died?" And I said, "Yeah, it was asbestos or something." She said, "No, he died of AIDS because he was homosexual." And I go, "I'm sorry, you know, God, don't tell nobody, you know, let's just keep this a secret, and you know, I need help. I'll get help." I was thinking, okay, maybe my homosexuality is a disease.
Right.
Well, she had taken the tape and give it to the authorities, saying, "I think there's minors on here." Okay. But said victim or said person was shaving himself was the age of 17. So me being honest about it and telling them, you know, hey, you know, this is, they asked me, they said, why do you have this? And I said, you know, was it for you to distribute or get, and I was like, no, it's for my own, let me go back. I had gotten this restraining order against, from her.
So it was a pretty bad breakup.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Okay.
And in the restraining order, it listed why she feared me being around her, and it said that she gave a tape in. And I thought, oh fuck, oh god, everybody's gonna know I'm gay now. That from day one, that was always my bad. I had no idea there was anything really legally an issue.
Sure.
So, you know, that was the big fear. I can't be outed as being a homosexual. So anyway, they issue the tape, they bring me in for question, and I tell them, you know, this is what this is, this is what this is, this is what this is. So they contact everybody, everything's fine. Then they get me for exploitation, sexual exploitation of a minor, because I filmed a guy shaving his wiener, you know, which he was 17 years old.
And he knew you were filming?
Yeah, he knew I was filming. Because he opens the curtain and goes, yay, you know, look at me, and
sure.
blah, blah, blah,
Just
blah,
guys
blah.
being guys, yeah.
You know, if you read the Chris Jericho story, Chris Jericho book, there's actually a section in there that talks about something almost to the T, exactly the same thing that happened.
Right.
You know, so you know, and I'd even told them, I said, this, you know, they were like, is this something wrestlers do? And I was like, dude, we're all the time, you know, like Matt and Jeff and all them, they talk about the tape of them, you know, putting their wiener on somebody's head. And,
right.
you know, so, but the main thing was that, you know, I had the sexual conduct with the, you know, with this other person. And so my wife's answer to the whole thing was, because once she realized the firestorm that was behind the damn thing, she actually went back to the investigator courthouse or whatever, because it's in the document thing. She actually went to get the tape back, because she was like, I just wanted you to get help.
Okay.
And I figured they would help you.
Right.
You know, which Mark and a lot of guys, they, you know, don't give her any credit. She knew exactly what the fuck, especially my sister, you know. She knew what she was doing and all of this, and I'm a benefit of the doubt person. You know, I don't think she, you know, knew exactly what she was doing.
Right.
You know, I can see from her point, if you've been married to somebody for 9 years and then all of a sudden you find out they're queer.
Sure, absolutely.
After you've had...
That'll rock your world.
After you've had assumptions, you know, and I go back and I found a book, a scrapbook that she had made me, and I was her world, you know, and I can see her point going, she's married to a guy for 9 years and then she doesn't really know him.
Damn, was it all a lie?
You know, and so, you know, we, like I said, we tried to reconcile and all of that, but, you know, I was, at that point in my life, I was so up and down, because for everything that would happen good, something negative would happen.
Sure.
Everything that would happen good, then something negative would happen. So, like I said, I got released, tried to kill myself, and I was done with the business.
So what I was getting at, and I wasn't bringing up your ex-wife to get you to spill. I appreciate you doing it, but what I was getting at is most guys, when they make that decision to, okay, I'm gonna be out, I'm gonna tell everybody I'm gay. You know, it takes a lot of courage, and they normally just do it to kind of one person. You didn't have that decision. You were forced out, and that, I mean, I commend you for being able to get through it, because that had to be hard.
It was really hard, but the thing is like everything that I've done in the business, I've worked hard at it. Getting through that was probably the hardest thing that I've ever had to deal with. And I, you know, on occasions I still deal with issues and stuff like that. I keep going, you know.
Are there people today that, now that they know your story, that like refuse to work with you?
If they are, I haven't heard them.
Mhm.
I'm sure there are. None that pop in my head. I'm sure there are, and that's, you know, that's their, just like I've got a choice to be gay.
Mhm.
That's their choice.
Mhm.
You know, we don't have to work on the same show. If I'm booked, you don't have to get booked. You know. But like I said, over the course of time, more truth has come out to the situation, and it's almost, you know, and most everybody that I've had intercourse with, or
Interaction?
interaction with, most people I've had interaction with, they have no issues.
Right.
You know, and
Right.
like I said, my part of the truth coming out, I never was going to fully, I wasn't going to go in the directions that I went in to get the truth out.
Mhm.
But, you know, when other things started coming up, like, you know, like I said before, you know, oh, he's gay, and oh, he's this, that, and the other, I don't want to be around him.
Right.
I don't want to call him at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Then
I
it's
knew
like,
you-
okay, I'm going to protect, I'm covering my own ass.
And you've got to an extent. And
You know.
I knew you, and I knew of you for a very long time, and I never got the impression that you were homosexual.
Well, the thing is like, even a lot of the guys I've dated, they, you know, until
Even sitting here now talking to you, I don't get the feeling that you're homosexual.
till we get to the nitty gritty,
Yeah,
they
sure.
don't believe, you know, which quite honestly is why I attract a lot of guys. They like 40-year-old fat guys.
Yeah.
But you know, there are times when I can get, you know, really flamboyant and you know,
As seen in Twisted Sister.
Yeah, the gayness. Well, even in my personal life,
Sure.
the gayness comes out.
Sure.
But you know, the whole Twisted Sister thing, you know, looking back on that really had absolutely nothing to do with my sexuality, because I was, you know, I was headstrong and being, you know, heterosexual.
Sure.
And all of that, and I hadn't, at that time, I hadn't really done anything that was, you know, had been homosexual.
That was just you having fun.
Yeah, that was me just exploding to be a character that could draw attention.
Sure.
Because you know, I was like Matt. And you know, Sean's talked about, a lot of guys are, even, you know, a lot of guys have said this. It's not about winning and losing. It's about, are they going to talk about you at the end of the show?
Yeah.
So, you know, I was like, okay, well, I don't even know how the gimmick came up. Jay came up with it. I don't know how he did it or where it came from. Or it might have been Derek. I don't exactly remember, but I just remember, you know, I didn't mind going the full length to do that character.
Yeah.
You know.
When all this broke and when this tape came out, and there was a lot of rumors. I don't even know if you want me to tell you one.
Oh no, I know 99.9% of all of them.
Being as passionate as you were about wrestling, and being the fact that even though there are so many homosexuals in wrestling, and most of them choose to keep quiet, all of this was forced out. Did you think like that your association with wrestling was done? Did you ever think that you?
Oh
could
yeah,
go
oh
back?
God, yeah. I knew. Like, I kind of touched on that, and I think I got sidetracked. But yeah, I knew it was over. I said, that's it. I'm never going to, you know, I'm done. I'm not going to be able to. God, what am I going to do to make a living?
Right.
And you know, I'm shunned from the business. And I'll never forget, Nigel Sherrod. Nigel called me and he said, hey buddy, you know, he would call me weekly. He would call me, Derek would call me, Sal would call me. Weekly, checking on me, making sure I was fine. Adam would call me. But Nigel said, hey, you know, I'm helping book this show in Bowman, Georgia. He goes, I want you to come. I want come be Rick Michaels. You know, it's you're come do what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
What you love to do, what you're good at doing. And I said, I don't know. He tried for weeks. Finally, I gave in and I went and did it.
How nerve-wracking was that?
Extremely. Because I was just like, you know, what are people going to say? What are people going to do? What are, you know, it's just absolutely one of the most nerve-wracking things. It was like starting all over.
Yeah,
again.
yeah, yeah.
You know, and But I just, like I said, Nigel just kept being persistent, and I did it. And the owners knew the situation. I was up front with them. They were supportive of the situation. And they didn't mind that I was gay, because I had already, fully come out at that point. And it just started leading to other, me realizing that I'm going to face this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I either face it, or I sit over here in the corner and just die and forget,
Right.
and this last 2 years, I have not been more passionate since I first started about this business. And people are going to, I'm sure people will make comments. And the thing is what I hate about people making comments is I'm very open. Contact me.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
Contact me, ask me what's going on. But the guys are going to make their assumptions. And that's perfectly fine. You have that God-given will or ability to make your own assumptions. But no matter what, I'm not going to stop doing what I love to do. In 1985, I knew this is what I wanted to do, and here we are, 2012, and I'm more passionate than I have been in years, and I'm not going to stop. I love the business.
So did you say when everything came out, when you were at your lowest of your low, and you were ready to kill yourself, you finally got the courage to come back into the wrestling scene? So this outlet of wrestling, you would say that helped get you a new lease on life?
Yeah, it really did. And one thing that really helped, and we need to wrap this up in 10 minutes.
Absolutely, bro.
One thing that helped was being honest. Being honest and being open and not trying to facade anything, and just being who I am. And perseverance paid off, and
Sure.
being honest with people, and people that know what I've gone through see the passion that I still have for this business, and that's why I keep going. That's why people keep booking me, and because I could sit here for a day or weeks to explain how hardcore my passion is for this business.
I would say, and we'll go into the association thing, which is right at the end, but I would say you're probably, I know of many closeted, and I know of many open to just their friends.
Let me go back and say this one thing.
Yeah,
Mark Henry,
yeah.
Simon Sermon, my absolute best friend.
That's your tag partner now.
Yeah, my tag partner. He's 1/4 of the exotic ones with Stony Hooker and Tommy Too Much, which
Mm-hmm.
they're not homosexual, but Mark's a proud investigator, so there's no bullshit in him.
Right.
He knows how to call a courthouse. He knows how to get any document he wants, find out anything. If you have 3 unlisted, unknown numbers, Mark Henry's gonna find you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what he does for a living. So Mark knows the truth. Mark knows and I don't know where I'd be really in life without him. He's literally been closer than I'm closer with my brothers.
Mm-hmm.
In my personal life, he's helped me so many times. In the business, he's been a huge contribution. If there was ever an issue with a promoter where they would say, hey, what kind of things are we stepping on if we use him, because this guy says this booker or promoter is saying this about Rick Michaels, but we trust your opinion, what do you say? And he's gone to bat for me so many times. And the thing is it's like everything else. Like, if you give me the opportunity, I'll prove myself.
Right.
It's been the same way with that. He's opened the opportunity for these places because, people still remember, Rick Michaels from Wildside and the small contribution that I've made to the business. But then when they find out or they know the legal stuff, they go to Mark and say, hey, you know, or what are we stepping on
I
here?
got you.
And he goes to bat for me every time, and like I am forever in debt to Mark Henry.
Gotcha.
Forever.
So let me ask you just one last question, and then I'm going to drop a couple names at you, and we'll do a word association, and we'll say goodbye to the people. But what I was leading into is like, you're really the only openly 100% homosexual wrestler that I know that doesn't just, you know, like tell his friends here, tell his friends there. Have you gotten support from other maybe closet homosexuals, stuff like that come to you?
Oh, yeah.
And yeah?
Yeah.
Say,
Oh yeah, and I've talked to him and said, hey, if you're not comfortable being out, I'm not gonna out you. You know, or if you're bisexual, I'm not gonna out you. If you need somebody to talk to, I'm here. And if you don't want to talk to me, you want to talk to Mark, he's. But yeah, I've run into several closeted guys who are like, you know, what is, you know, I don't want anybody to find out, or how did people react? And see, with me,
any of it really shocked you? And please don't out anyone.
No, none of it. You know, nothing in this fucking business, or
Sure,
nothing in life really shocks me
Right.
anymore. But I try to be as supportive as I can, but I don't want anybody to, you know, if they're not comfortable,
Absolutely.
don't come out.
Absolutely.
You know, but if you're, you know, if you are comfortable, because it's 2012.
Yeah.
You know, it's really a testament though, and I'm blessed that with all the stuff I've gone through, and you know, being openly a homosexual, for the support that I've got from guys, you know, and
Right.
and you know, hey, you know, I don't care,
Right.
you know, and so what I also tell guys is, you coming out to be on your time, you have that. You know, it's up to you, your choice. Do it how you want to. I didn't really have a choice.
Yeah, you didn't. Yeah. No.
It was, you know, I mean, well, I could have kept denying it and lying and saying, oh, I'm not gay, I'm not gay, I'm not gay. Bam, kick the door down.
What's the point?
Yeah, what's the point? So, you know, they're coming out and me coming out. It's totally. I can't really, you know, I can't really give them the sound advice how to do it smoothly.
Right.
All I can say is, when you're ready, you know, the people are going to support you.
Right. All right, it's that time in the safe house where we do some word association. Word association, I'm going to drop a name, and you give me whatever you want to give me. It could be sound effect, could be sentence, could be paragraph, could be a middle finger. So let's go ahead and start with Bill Barron's.
Open the door. He opened the door for a lot of opportunities for me, and my time in Wildside with him, I learned so much from him. How to format TVs, and it was probably my second favorite time being in the business was the Wildside stuff. And like I said, the main thing is the opportunity.
Sure.
You know, I mean, we've had our issues, and you know, we're whatever. But you know, my thing with him is the opportunities that the doors he opened for me. I'll forever, you know, be grateful for.
Yeah. Okay. Deion Johnson.
Deion Johnson, my twin brother from a different mother. One of, especially, I mean, he's, a lot of people tell me that I'm 10, 15 years too late to make it big in the 80s. That's the person that's associated with
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
He's
sure.
got, he's a black version of Dusty Rhodes, Jimmy Valiant.
You'll never find a guy with more charisma.
No,
Off
and
the
I
charts.
mean, just can wake a dead crowd up.
Oh, yes.
I mean, Junkyard Dog. I mean, he is just all these guys. He is the '80s,
Mm-hmm.
and like can do a moonsault
Yep.
as big as he is,
Or
and
VHSs as we
yeah,
know.
VHSs and or Hurry Curries or whatever we call them.
Yep.
I love Deion. I met him working for Jay, and he was doing the Junkyard Dog gimmick. He was
Okay.
JYD Jr. or
Yeah.
some shit. And
What are you looking at?
hey, look, he probably, is it he?
Yeah.
Okay, he probably thinks there's still steak on that Japanese
Yeah,
jacket.
right.
No, I love Derek. Derek is just fabulous. And like I said, just so much charisma. You know, I mean, the fact that he got to work in Memphis, that's one territory I never worked in.
Right.
But the later years of Power Pro, I think they were called, or they might have just transformed from USWA. The fact he got to work there, I am so jealous.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's a territory that's synonymous with wrestling, and
Yeah, absolutely.
couldn't be a more fitting person to work up there. And I think if they would have given him an opportunity to just be himself and not be a regulator or whatever their characters were, and just let him be Black Cat Deion Johnson,
Yeah.
holy God, he would have made, well, I don't know how much money he would make because I heard the
He'd spend
territory
it
didn't pay. Yeah, but no, I love him. He's great. He's awesome.
Thomas Simpson.
Thomas
Staple of the
Simpson.
Safe House.
Thomas Simpson. Thomas Simpson is absolutely awesome. He's done a lot for a lot of guys in the business, and you know, he doesn't get the credit, but he'll damn sure tell you about it.
Oh yeah, he certainly will.
You will tell him about it
In
enough.
3 parts.
In 3 parts, and if he didn't do something for you, you're fucked. But Thomas was instrumental in me getting the big push in ACW, and I think I did 1 or 2, maybe 1 spot I did in Omega, and it was for him, and then I worked for him in another North Carolina show. But he's always been a big, you know, supporter, and I've always supported him, and I think we worked together in Greenville, South Carolina for Brody Chase.
Yeah.
Absolutely love Thomas.
Okay.
He's family.
Shane Austin. I don't know why that name was given to me, but it was. I like his haircut.
Yeah. You know what?
No, I don't.
Ricky Morton can sport it. It's okay. Shane, cut it. The only 2, I mean, like I worked him in like his first match. He was the Stowe brothers, and he was, you know, god awful. But then, yeah,
More things change.
yeah, we had a kindled spirit, friendship, whatever. But there was, you know, trust issues and all of this. He came and worked for us at Wildside or at NCW, and he had some good promos. But you know, he was Shane. Yeah, I don't even know.
Sure.
I don't even know if he's still in the business or.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
You know, I know that he had there's a company that runs in Royston, Georgia that's called APW, and he started that when it was in Bowman, and Nigel was booking for him, which I talked about earlier. But when he sold the company, he really, at this time, the 2 guys that were wanting to buy it, you know, they had talked to me about working with him and booking and stuff like that, and I was like, what is he selling it to you for, and what are you buying?
Right.
And you know, he really did a number on those guys with, you know, like the ring was fucking horrible. It like didn't even have ring posts. They had wooden, whatever, not anyway, those big huge wooden posts that looked like
2x4s?
No, bigger than that.
Okay.
Whatever that thing is on a table,
Gotcha.
except a little bit bigger.
Big solid piece of wood.
Yeah, it was just solid wood. And it was, you know, the canvas was a fucking tarp that he got
Right.
from Home Depot.
Okay.
It is.
Shady guy.
Yeah, and then, you know, he owed a bunch of money on the rent of the building. That's what they told me, and he, you know, they didn't know that at the time. And it's like, once they'd already bought it, they were fixing to kick him out of the building.
Oh.
Because they owed so much money.
That's
and,
dirty.
Yeah, and Jericho and Jericho Stone and Kevin something or another. But Jericho's an awesome guy.
Okay.
And, you know, I really hated to see, you know, the one thing I never wanted to do is fuck somebody over the business. You know, he did them shady, and I didn't like that. You know? So I kind of lost a lot of respect for Billy after that.
2 more names left for you. Chris Hamrick.
Chris Hamrick, my funny Chris Hamrick story. I love Chris to death, but I'll never forget. We were at the Grady Cole Center in Charlotte, North Carolina. It was me, it was Twisted Sisters, me, Shane, and Dion against K Crush or R Truth, Chris Hamrick, and one of their buddies. And I punch Chris, and Chris goes, oh, and I
was that the start of it?
yeah, and I was just like, oh my God, that's fucking amazing, you know. So, you know, because he calls me on the corner and says, punch me. So I punched him, and you know, and I had a good punch, and he did that, and that hair, and he sold it. And fucking crowd went nuts, and I was like, oh, that's fucking great.
And now he does that when he pisses.
You know, so we did a show the next week. We were in Spartanburg or something for Jay, and I was working Chris, and I said, brother, I said, we got in the corner. I said, brother, hit me. So brother hits me, and I go, somebody in the crowd goes, why'd you slap your hands? And it's like, oh, fuck, and he laughed so
You're not
hard.
as good as Hammer.
No, so I completely quit doing that. And I stole the Jerry Lawler, where Jerry Lawler slaps somebody in the side.
Yeah.
And guys hate that because they fucking, you know, they'll punch me, I'll smack them, and they start selling.
I do the Carino when I get hit. I hit here.
The worst one is the Rock.
Oh yeah.
And the Scott Hall. You know, I mean, Rock can be 5 miles away, and you're still gonna get that. But you know, he's the Rock selling out Madison Square Garden.
He's
He
got
can
the
do it.
eyebrow.
Yeah, exactly. He can do that shit. But yeah, that was my Chris Hamrick story. But I always, you know, I always thought Chris was just. I was glad when he got his ECW spot. I really never, because I didn't really understand the political side of the business and understand that the business was who, not what.
Right.
You know.
Right. Yeah.
So at that time, I was like, God, why is this guy not fucking doing something?
Something, right?
You know, and I know he got a gimmick in Smoky Mountain for a little while. Jim Cornette loved him. And because, you know, when I was working for Jay a lot, we used to be close and we would talk all the time. And I just never understood why, you know, why Chris was not, yeah, but then again, you know, back in those days it was a size issue.
Yeah.
You know, and he's never been the biggest. Never been the biggest, but I mean, just freaking talented as hell.
Yeah, I agree with
I mean, Chris is just amazing with talent. I heard he did this one gimmick, and I hope I'm not exposing anything, but I heard he did this one gimmick with his promoter, and it worked, so I'm stealing something else from you, Chris, except this time it worked. He did this gimmick where the guy was like, how much are you going to charge? And he's like, well, he goes, why don't we do $1 a head? There's no guarantee. That way, you know, if I can help you make money, then I'll make money, and if there is no money, then nobody's losing anything. Sure. And I heard they're, you know, doing 200 and 300 people per show, so he's making hell of bank.
Heck yeah.
So I tried that, you know, I'm doing that with this promotion in Georgia.
Some money mark named Thomas.
And yeah, Thomas, book me and we'll do $1 a head because I know you'll promote. But no, I mean it's. You know, that's what a great idea.
Sure,
I mean, it's a win-win.
Absolutely.
Nobody's losing anything.
Right.
You know, so but I love Chris. He's super talented.
Okay. And lastly, David Young.
David Young, Messiah the Spine Buster. Me and David, we never. It was crazy because when I tell people this story, they're like, "Huh?" But me and David never got along. It was really one of those things where we had different views of extracurricular activities of the business, and so we traveled together like maybe twice, and you know, one time it involved some weed and me sketching out and thinking we're driving down the wrong road, and calling Bill and David taking my keys and saying, Bill, I swear to God, I'm gonna kill him, and you know, but we laugh about that now, but when we got in the ring, we had the best chemistry as a tag team, and we never had to talk about anything. And our matches, we had super chemistry in matches, and it's along the same lines, except absolutely the opposite of the way it is with Simon. No matter if I'm in the ring with Simon tagging or working, super chemistry because he's super talented, but yet we get along perfect outside the ring.
Right.
You know, but me and David, I mean, we just, I don't know what it was, but we butted heads a lot, but when the bell rang and we went out there and performed, it was great. I mean, we had great chemistry, great magic together. We'd shake hands afterwards, hugged, love you, thank you, and that was it.
Super talented guy.
Yeah, I mean, a guy that size to do the stuff, that's a guy that I don't understand why. I mean, he had the little run in TNA,
yeah.
as the Rough Riders, or Diamonds in the Rough. But I'll never to this day, this is not a who you know, what you know, because he knows a lot of people. I'll never to this day understand why he never made it, because I thought he was, and I still think it to this day. I mean, we, even though we don't really speak that much anymore because he's moved to another state. I don't understand why he never made it. I think he's so freaking underrated.
He's almost the definition of what the Fed's looking for. When me and TJ started working for Hermie Sadler, when he was doing like the TNA house shows, they feuded us with Elix and David. And not only are they incredibly talented, but they were so gracious in the ring. They really kind of helped me and TJ establish ourselves as a team. And look at us. We don't weigh anything, and they put us over and they sold for us. Man, they were just awesome.
The big thing about David is he could take somebody the size of the Giant.
Yeah.
And have a hell of a match, and he could take somebody the size of that water bottle and it does not matter who you put him in the ring with. Yeah, here's another cliche, he could work a broomstick.
Yeah.
That's David.
I agree.
I mean, and I don't know, if it was a size issue or what prevented him from, again, speculation.
Interesting to know, yeah.
But just a guy that is one of those ones where he'd be on the cusp of getting a break, and then something would happen.
Yeah.
And then, just so much talent. Like I said, we never, personal lives, we never saw eye to eye.
Yeah.
We were as polar opposite as you get, and like I said, we did maybe two road shows together I held 4, NWA World Tag Team titles with him, which is a super honor. I know the NWA's what it is, but to me, it's,
Absolutely, yeah.
It was a huge honor, and I couldn't, at the time, and the only other person I could think of doing that would be Simon or Mark, but I couldn't think of a better person to be, and all of that. Me and David getting together was all an accident anyway, because we had fired your buddy Shane Austin.
Okay.
And it was supposed to be, they were the Hot Shots.
Yeah, they were Hot Shots,
They were the Hot Shots, and they were at, I think it was Freedom Fight. It was supposed to be them and the Boogaloo Crew for the tag team titles. And for whatever reason, I had to fire Shane. Oh, he threw a crutch or something and hit my mother-in-law or something, and
some small petty reason.
Yeah, it was any reason I could think of to fire him. So Bill was like, what about you and David tagging? Or no, I told him shit, I don't remember. But anyway, somehow we got put together. It may have been David and Bill or something. But anyway, I dressed up in a full body outfit, solid black mask and a wig around the thing. And I did the spitting like Shane does when he talks, and tried to work as sloppy as I could, and people actually thought it was
Shane Under Hood.
Yeah, it was Shane Under Hood, because they were putting it over on TV.
That's funny.
That he got fired.
Yeah.
Because we legitly we were copying ECW. If something was happening backstage, we told about
Absolutely,
it.
Yeah.
So what is Shane Austin being here? He's not supposed to be here. He got fired. And da 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 da. Beat the shit out of one of the Boogaloo Crew, and I take the hood off. And Bill goes, I don't know what they're doing together, but these are two guys that have bad attitudes. And David had actually come up with the name Bad Attitude.
Yeah.
And then I think I added the Midnight Express music, because nobody else was using it at the time. But we just I think we held the NCW tag team titles, or the Plus Tax.
What's next for Rick Michaels?
I'm gonna keep going. I'm just gonna keep doing what I love to do, and that's that's be involved in the no matter what it is, whether it's booking, working, sewing, whatever. The business is all I know, and it's all I'm gonna keep doing. I love it. And no matter how many bumps in the road I take, I'm just gonna keep getting back up.
When it's said and done, you're gone. What's the legacy you want to leave behind?
That I was extremely passionate about the business. That's the legacy. It's not about who I brought in the business or what I've done in the business. it's about that guy was passionate about the
That's
business.
kind of what you done for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, that's the main thing, is I want people to know that I am extremely passionate
Okay.
about this. You know, I mean, when I have tears about the business, they're all legit. I couldn't think of my life without it.
Yeah.
So,
Tell people where they can find the Chosen One, Rick Michaels, the original Chosen One.
Facebook, Rick Michaels, which, you know, it's whatever. But the big one, www.facebook.com/WrestleWare.
Saying for the best gear in the business.
Yes, sir.
He made
the
Ben Walls.
The semi-main.
He made Ben Walls, a guy that doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah, well, that's a shoot. Yeah, well.
Yo.
Yeah, but anyway, no, I loved him. He was great.
Facebook.com/WrestleWare for all of your WrestleWare needs. Yeah, you like that good guy?
Oh, it was super awesome.
Took the hit hard.
Yeah, I mean, you know what, the thing, yeah, it really hurt me emotionally, because we had gotten, especially after the WWE times, we had gotten extremely, you know, close, and would talk on a weekly basis. You know, not even about gear.
Yeah.
You know, just talk about how I was doing or how
Yeah.
he was doing, but he was great. I miss him, and he was a good person, no matter what people
Well,
say.
Rick, I appreciate you contacting me and wanting to do this, man. It was a real honor having you here. I knew a lot about you, and I knew you from way back then, and I thought, hey, man, this would be a really good one to do. So I appreciate you taking the time and being open and honest. That's what it's all about.
Well, that's what I do, and
And
about to shoot video when it comes out. 'Cause
Yeah,
I'm gonna do one
yeah.
of those next.
I commend you, sir.
Thomas, get the camera ready.
I commend you, sir, for forging through and coming through the darkness, man. I
Well,
really do.
you know, like I said, I still, you know, have the issues I work with, but I'm gonna keep going. And
All right, well, God bless you, man. Appreciate
You
you
too,
coming on the
brother.
Safe House, episode 10. For the original Chosen One, Rick Michaels, the best professional wrestler you never heard of, Kirby Mack. Enjoy that applesauce.
you know,
This little nifty thing is sends 300 shots of electricity in my neck a minute. It is to stimulate and regenerate the bone growth for the bone that they took out of my spine.
good God, how long are you out for?
6 to 8 months. Just lay down, you'll be okay. You can bounce around if you want. Alright. Oh, Jesus.
Is this thing already filming?
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing?
I do that because if you watch them, I do like some back. It's just the way that I edit it. Anyway.
That's fine.
I'm about to hit start, and then we will go into episode 10.